Okay. All right, everyone. So everyone Sarah, you can still see the screen okay, or?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Great. Okay, so thanks everyone for joining us tonight. Welcome to the 4-HBC webinar series, and this one is the external 4-H credit opportunity. So I know it's a popular one. It's sometimes a confusing topic, so I'm glad you're here tonight to go through all of this with. Okay. Okay, so for those of you who I have not had the chance to meet yet, my name's Alana and I work on the youth development team alongside Sarah with the Ministry of Agriculture and Food. So mainly my roles with 4-H are supporting and managing the senior projects as well as the external credits program. And Sarah, I'll pass it over to you to introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm the manager of youth development programs with the Ministry of Agriculture and Food. So our team's role in 4-H is to help with all things sort of educational. So Alana and I are both involved with the administration of the external credits for 4-H. So we're happy to share some information with you and hopefully answer all your questions tonight.
Perfect. Thanks, Sarah. And Sarah will also be working in the chat too. So we have lots to cover tonight. So if you have questions, we'll just ask if you can put them in the chat. We will probably cover your answers, but Sarah's going to be monitoring the chat and making sure that your questions are being answered. So thanks for doing that, Sarah. So now that you know a little bit about us, I have some questions for you. So if you can open the chat. The first question is, where are you joining from? You can add your role there too. And the second question is, what are you hoping to take away from tonight's webinar? So if you can just pop your answers to those questions in the chat right now, that would be great. You know that there's lots to cover with this topic, so we just want to make sure that we're covering everything that you came here for. Thanks, Margaret. So Lakes District, key leader. We have from Boundary C, like to learn about help our senior members earn high school credits. Perfect, you're in the right place. Earn high school credits. We have some members, it looks like. Hi, Raya. Great. Okay, well, it looks like we will cover everything that you want to learn. Perfect. Great, so you can keep that coming in if you haven't had a chance yet. I'm gonna move on to our agenda tonight. So we're gonna begin with an overview of the external credits program, and then I'll introduce you some helpful resources to help you keep track of awards and also understand the awards a little bit better. Then we're gonna briefly touch on proficiency certificates and senior skills certificates, as they're the building blocks to earning external credits. Then we're gonna go into detail about the different pathways to earning external credits, and then how to apply for external credits. And then at the end, there will be time for any remaining questions. So that is our agenda today. So let's start, and we're going to dive into an external credits overview. So this program actually began in September of 1997 as a collaboration between the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Agriculture. And it's really an honor and a privilege for 4-H to be part of this program, which reflects the value placed on agriculture education and leadership development. It's worth noting that not every province in Canada has such a partnership between 4-H and the Ministry of Education and Agriculture. So this is really a special program for members in our province. Through this program, as you can see, senior 4-H members can earn 4 grade 11 high school credits and 4 grade 12 high school credits for their 4-H work. And these credits are earned through their 4-H membership and through meeting program requirements that meet the same standards as other senior secondary courses. So I'm going to start, as I promised, with going over some helpful resources that will help you to keep track of awards throughout your members' 4-H career. So I'm going to start with this one. This is the publication number 118, and it's the Member Passport. It's a really great resource to give to your members to help them keep track of their awards through their 4-H career. It's sort of like a swimming report card. You can put your badges right in, put notes in there too. And so this is for their entire 4-H career. As you can see, page 11 here, I just have an example on the screen, is public speaking. So there's space to record the year, the speech title, what level it was completed at, and there's also space to attach the badge in there too. So if members keep this publication up to date, this can be a really helpful resource for them when they're filling out scholarship applications or applying for external credit. So if you have a senior member and they're super keen, you could also maybe make this a junior leader project, and they can help the other members maintain their 4-H member passport. So I know that filling out paperwork can be tiring. There's lots of other paperwork, but this publication is really a helpful one. So you can find it actually on the 4-H BC website under publications. I'll just put a link to that page here in the chat for you, so it's easy to access. But you can find on the 4-H BC website, it's the first one listed under record books when you go to that link.
It's good, Alana, like really helpful with the grade 11, 12 credits, but also really helpful later when the members are thinking about applying for scholarships, because it's like a one-stop shop. So definitely be encouraging the members. We try to encourage leaders to give it to members, maybe just as they finish their first year at their first awards night, so they have something to put in there, and then keep it updated every year after that.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, so the next publication is the Member Awards Card. So this is publication number 125. And this is an example of it on the screen here. We're going to go into more detail into the second page, the senior awards, later on in this webinar, but I just wanted to show you so you can kind of see. So awards coordinators need to have one of these awards card for each of their members. Leaders are also encouraged to have a copy for their own club records, but the award card that is with the awards coordinator is considered the official awards card of the member. So it has space to record members' junior and senior awards. And like I mentioned, we'll be looking more closely at that senior awards section later on. Okay. And the third resource I want to highlight is publication number 128, the Awards Opportunity Guide. And I'm just actually going to pop a document into the chat. So this was updated today. It was finalized today. So this version, the updated version that's in the chat here, will be posted onto the 4-H BC website in the same area as the member passport, but it's not currently there because it was just finished. So I just want to share that in the chat. If you want to open it up on your screen and follow along, you can do that tonight. But all the information will be here, so you can use that to refer to later on after this. But the Awards Opportunity Guide is an extremely useful resource for all information about awards. So junior badges, senior skill certificates, external credits. This is a really valuable resource for you. And like I said, the updated version will be on the website soon. So we'll go into more detail about this Actually, in the next slide, one of the really useful things in this document is this chart right here. So this chart might look slightly different from what you've seen before, but all the information is still the same. We just kind of reworked it to make it flow a little bit easier.
Alana, I think
Yeah.
Regan has a question. I didn't see it in the chat, but I saw her hand up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not sure. Is it all right if I pop in with a question if I have one?
Sure, sounds good. Yeah, I think
that
I
okay?
forgot to mention for further questions, well, if you could put them in the chat and Sarah can address them, but go ahead, Regan, you can go
Oh,
now.
okay.
It's
No,
timely. Yeah.
just a question was
Yeah.
exactly what you were just saying, that this was just updated. Is there any way to find out what was updated? It's a large document to print out, and I just thought, if there's 3 updates, then there's no point in printing another one. But if there's a lot, do you know
Yeah.
whether there was a lot? Is it worthwhile to reprint it or to print a new one?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would suggest that you do that. So the main
Okay.
change, Regan, was you may recall there was a leaders update in the fall where the deadline for junior proficiency was changed. And so that has been updated throughout, as well as an FAQ section about that, since it's a little bit different than what we've been doing before. We also added some new awards. There's a new opportunity to
Okay.
do a digital poster and communications, and then there's the new vet science project, as well as the Connecting Generations project that's been piloted this year.
Okay. Okay, good enough then. That's really all I wanted to know.
Great.
Yeah,
Just
great
seems like,
question.
it's a big one. So I thought, oh gosh, maybe I don't really need to, but I will. Absolutely. Thank you.
Good question. Thanks. Okay, so if you have that document open right now, or if you open it later, this awards chart will be found on page 48. And so this chart shows pathways to the project and program PIN, so or the grade 11 and the grade 12 credits. But as you can see, there's a spot at the bottom that are some things that members need to do and earn before they're eligible to start working on these grade 11 and grade 12 level opportunities. So that is the 4-H junior proficiency. So we're going to go over briefly the junior proficiency requirements. There have been some changes to this, as Sarah mentioned, so we'll just cover those as we go on. So a proficiency certificate, publication number 250, is an indication that a 4-H member has a complete working knowledge of junior 4-H work, including project work and 4-H program skills, which include communications and judging. Members must write a junior proficiency exam and earn at least 60% to pass to earn their proficiency certificate. And why is this important? Well, obtaining a proficiency certificate is necessary for members to earn senior skill certificates, work towards their grade 11 and grade 12 4-H school credits, and participate in provincial 4-H conferences and programs. So writing the proficiency, the junior proficiency exam is a privilege granted by the leader when a member is 13 years or older, and when the leader believes that the member is ready to advance to senior 4-H activities and opportunities. So as I mentioned, members must be at least 13 years or older, or this is the change this year, they can be turning 13 within the same year that the exam is being written. So it used to be required that the member had to do it after their 13th birthday, but this was changed so that leaders could administer a group to do the exam and didn't have to wait until everyone turned 13 that year. It's also recommended that members earn at least 2 program or project badges prior to writing the exam. And leaders create and administer the exam based on the Junior Proficiency Master Guide of questions available for their project. So these guides are available on the Leaders Secured page in each of the project folders. So the exam marks must be submitted to the district awards coordinator by January 31st in order for the member to be considered a senior that year. So this is also a change. It used to be December 31st. And so this was changed to January 31st of the next year, so that members, if they decided that year that they wanted to participate in 4-H again, they had an opportunity, if they had turned 13 the year before, to do their proficiency exam and be a senior member for that year. So to be eligible to write the exam in January and be considered a senior for the current year, members must have turned 13 or older during the previous year. So I hope that makes sense, everyone. There's also in the updated version of the awards guide, Sarah made this great Q&A with lots of questions and answers. So if you have any questions that come up, it might be addressed in the awards guide. Okay, so we covered the basics of junior proficiency, and now we're eligible to start earning our senior skills certificates and getting those grade 11, working towards our grade 11 and grade 12 credits. But you might be wondering, how do we earn those senior skills certificates? So next, we're going to talk a little bit about the basics of senior skills certificates. So senior 4-H members receive senior skill certificates for completing required project or program skills. And the following are the criteria that are used for these certificates. Members must earn 75% or higher to receive a certificate, and each certificate is awarded only once per member. Project certificates are only for members currently enrolled in that project. So we'll start with project certificates. In most livestock projects, these are the certificates that are usually available. So there's husbandry, judging, showmanship, feeding, and many livestock projects also have a 5th option. So these are a list of options you might see in the different projects. Here is a snippet from the awards opportunity guide from the beef project, just to show you how each of the certificates, husbandry, judging, showmanship, feeding, and marketing, they have detailed criteria for how a member earns them listed in the awards opportunity guide. So I won't go over it in detail tonight, but know that if you have any questions, this is a really good resource to find all of those details. In most non-livestock projects, the following project senior skill certificates are available. So there's usually a project certificate. So if it's outdoor living, there'd be an outdoor living certificate. Or in gardening, there's a husbandry certificate. There's a judging, display, or review, and sometimes a research project. So again, here's an example from the awards opportunity guide for gardening. And just check for more detailed and specific information regarding the project that you are looking at. And we're going to go into this in detail more later, but just keep in mind that if a member earns their junior proficiency certificate in a certain project, plus 4 senior skills certificates in that single project area, they earn their project pin for that project. And we're going to talk more about what that means later.
I think an important thing to think about with those, Alana, for everybody, is that some of them are able to be administered just locally. Like, for example, judging would just be based on judging scores from 1 or more judging rallies. But others of them, like the husbandry one, for example, is a combination of a practical and written test. So if we're on a time crunch for members getting their credits, maybe we have a member that's in grade 12 this year, it's important to look ahead and think, okay, maybe in what order should we do these, to remember that it's going to take a little bit of time for the written exams to be marked and returned.
Great point. Okay, so that's project senior skill certificates. There's also program senior skill certificates. So the following program awards and communications are available for senior 4-H members. There's public speaking, demonstrator, educational display, speak and show, provincial program. So actually, Sarah has a whole webinar on provincial programs this Thursday, if you're curious to learn more about those. But for these, we're talking about youth action, agriculture, AgriCareer Quest, Food for Thought, and Provincial Club Week. And then new is a digital poster. So this is our new one, and it is in, more details are in the awards opportunity guides for each of these program senior skills certificates.
I want to know, Elena, before you move on the provincial programs, the one that is excluded from that list is the provincial communication finals. And the reasons for that are it's a little bit shorter than the others, not quite as many hours spent. And also it is also a competition that they could be getting credit for communications activities through. So a little bit of double dipping. So it's not just been missed on the list, it's intentionally not included, but all of the other provincial programs are options.
Perfect. So again, we're going to get into this more later, but keep in mind that if a member earns 4 of these 6 program senior skills, then they can also earn a program pin in communications. Okay, lastly is the safety senior skill certificate. So there's 2 parts to this and 8 possible certificates members could earn here. Part A includes first aid certification, food safety judging, and planning of safety workshops. And again, in the awards guide, all of the details to this are listed out, all of the requirements. Part B is the farm safety walkabout, research project, emergency preparedness planning, and a year-long safety plan. And so if your member completes 2 senior skills from Part A and 2 from Part B, then they could also receive a program pin. So keep that in mind as we move on. Okay. So we covered junior proficiency and senior skills. Now we're going to move on to the different pathways for earning the grade 11 and grade 12 credits. So as you can see here, to earn 4 grade 11 credits, there's 2 different ways. You can earn that project pin certification, or you could earn a program pin certification. You can't do both, so you can choose one or the other. And then to earn 4 grade 12 credits, you need to earn an honor club pin certification. So we're going to go through each of them step by step. So for the first one, for A, for grade 11 credits, the project pin certification, senior 4-H members must enroll in a designated project following the completion of their junior proficiency certificate and receive 4 senior skill certificates in that project area. And as we saw before with the beef example, there's both written and practical elements. And seniors need to achieve 75% in order to pass those exams. There are written exams available on the Leaders Secured pages for those projects. Okay, so here's our chart again, our handy dandy chart. And this is where that grade 11 project pin example comes in. So you can see here that there are 4 project senior skills in there, and then you can earn your project pin.
I think, Elena, an important thing to mention here is that members can earn more than 1 project pin, and they can also earn both of the program pin options. They're not limited to how many pins they can earn, but only one of those can earn them credits because only 4 credits are available. So if members are super keen and they want to earn lots of pins, they're welcome to do that. It's just only once can that be counted for the grade 11 credits.
Great. Okay. And next up to option B is program pin certificate. So you can either do B1, which is, we mentioned, 4 of 6 senior skill certificates for communication, or option 2, which is 4 of 8 senior skill certificates for safety. And as Sarah mentioned, you could do all of it and get your pins, your program pins, but we're just talking about these grade 11 credits. So we'll show our chart again. So this is your B1 option. So you have all of these 6 options for your program pin here, and your member can choose. And there's lots of members who who like to do all of them too, but then they just, when they're submitting for their credits, they choose 4 of their marks to count towards those credits. So we have the program pin in communications there, and your option B2 is that program pin in safety. So 2 from part A and 2 from part B. Okay, now we're going to move on to our honor pin certification, which is the requirements for the external 4-H grade 12 credit. And as you can see, there's 5 different pathways to bring you to your honor pin certification. So your first pathway, which is one of the most popular pathways at UBC, our members, they first achieve their program pin either in communications or in safety. And then next up is they achieve their project pin, or maybe they did it in the opposite order. They achieved their project pin and then their program pin, and then they applied for their credits. But either way, with a program and a project, they're getting their grade 12 honor pin. Next up, option 2 is they do a project. They get a project pin, let's say in gardening, and then they get another project pin in a different project. So let's say a rabbit, for an example, and then they'll get their honor pin. They do 2 separate projects. The third option is they do their project pin, and then they do 3 years of junior leadership. So if they do their project pin and 3 years of junior leadership, they get their honor. And we have it 3 years of junior leadership because junior leadership projects are shorter. They're 4 to 6 months, whereas you'll see next senior management and senior self-determined are 10 to 12 months, so they're longer. So that's option 3. We call it gold because the first year of junior leadership is bronze, the second is silver, and the third is gold. So we're calling it gold. It's 3 years. The fourth option is the member gets their project pin plus their 4-H senior management certificate, and then they're able to get their honor. And then the fifth one, the last option, is their project pin plus their senior self-determined certificate gets them their honor. So those are all of the 5 different options for getting your honor pins. Okay, so now that we've gone through all of the options and different pathways to earning grade 11 and 12 credits, I want to go over an example of that awards card that we saw earlier. So we're going to go over this awards card for our member Rose Bud, and she's a keen member. You can see on this side she's been doing lots of senior skills in gardening throughout the year. She has her showmanship, judging, husbandry, and she's also been completing some of her communications, her program senior skills. So she has public speaking. You can see here with public speaking, usually we do the impromptu mark first. So she has 91 impromptu, and then 85 is her plan. So that's how we mark it down in the awards card. And then she has her ed display right here. She also has attended Youth Action over here in 2024. So we have a few options here. Let's say Rosebud, I'm the awards coordinator, and Rosebud came to me and was wondering on a pathway to move forward. Her goal is to get both her grade 11 and grade 12 credits. So she has a few options here. We'll just go through them. So she could, for one, do her project, complete her project pin, and then her program pin. So she needs 1 more in her project to get the 4. And then she needs 1 more in her program to get 4 out of 6 of these. So she has a provincial event and then 2, so that's 3. So she could do that. That's one option. Another option is she could do 4 other senior skills in another project and then 1 in her gardening. So that would take her a lot longer, but it is an option if she was really keen to do another project. She has the option of doing her last senior skill in gardening plus the safety. So she would need 2 from part A and 2 from part B. So that's, again, quite the time commitment for what she has going on, but it is an option. She could do 3 years of junior leadership plus her 1 more senior skill for gardening. But again, that would take 3 years. She could do her senior skill in gardening and then do a senior management certificate, definitely an option to consider. And then lastly, she could do her last skill in gardening and then do a senior self-determined project. So she has a lot of options here. So it's worth sitting down and talking to her about her goals. And so let's say fast forward, I did that. And she decided that she wanted to go this first route, the project and program route. So she ended up doing another senior skill in garden. So she got her marketing senior skills certificate and she got 83 on that. So all her marks are looking great. They're all above 75%. You can see that they're different years. So it doesn't matter what year your member did it, as long as they're a senior member when they completed their senior skills, of course. But if she achieved, let's say she got a husbandry score of 74 and she didn't make that 75 threshold, she can redo that another year. And if she gets above 75, that can count towards it.
Or she could even resubmit potentially, because that's a written exam. So she'd have a chance to make up those marks. I think you made a good point too, Alana, about the years, because just in case anybody's not watching the chat, Connor had asked if a grade 10 can also earn the credits. And if you can't see the chat, the answer is yes, you can earn them at any time. Once you're 13 and have that junior proficiency, you don't have to be a student at school in grade 11 or 12.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, it's worth looking ahead and making these plans years in advance if you can. And then, okay, so she got her garden project, all 4 of those, they're all over 75%. So that means that she got her project pin right there. So that's why I put 2025 right there. And then in program, she chose to do her speak and show. So she got, I think I have a bigger version over here. Yeah. She got 94% for her speak and show in 2025, and so she gets her program pin in 2025. Because she has her project and her program, she gets her honor club pin in 2025. And Sarah, do you want to mention how they get their pins versus certificates? I'll talk about certificates soon.
Yeah, the pins can just be ordered from 4HBC using there's an awards order form, which is, it's available in the awards coordinators toolkit on the Leaders Secure page. So those pins can be ordered when it gets to the time of year for presenting them.
Perfect, thanks. Okay, awesome. I think there is a question in the chat.
Yeah, so Charlene is asking, and the years of senior certificates can be combined to equal the requirements. Charlene, can you just clarify what you mean? Do you just mean, like we said, you don't have to have them all in 1 year? You can go ahead and unmute yourself if that's easier. There were not too many on the call.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Hi. That is exactly what I was meaning. So like 2 years ago, maybe Joe did a speech, and his points and his certificate add into the requirements that he needs to get an external credit. Even though it's a couple of years ago. Sorry.
Yeah, as long as all of it has to be earned after he had a junior proficiency certificate. So as long as he had a junior proficiency certificate, anything, and then he became a senior. So again, look at those junior proficiency requirements. Because for example, if he turned 13 and wrote his junior proficiency in July, he's not a senior until the following January. But once he starts his first year as a senior, anything earned after that can be counted regardless of what year. And even, for example, the requirements that require 2 scores. So the public speaking, to get your certificate in public speaking, you need to get 75 or over on both a prepared speech and an impromptu. Those 2 scores don't even have to come from the same year or the same event. It's just at any time that they get a high enough score, it can be counted as long as they earned it after they were a senior member.
Thank you.
Yeah, great. Okay, we've got lots of questions now, so that's great. So Margaret's wondering, so the award of both grade 11 and 12 could happen during grade 12. That's right, Margaret. They could happen together or separately, just depending on when the member completed their requirements. And Becky is saying in husbandry part 2 needs to be done, right? So there should be a second score there too. So Becky, how it works with the husbandry exams is there's a practical portion that's going to be your husbandry check. And then there's actually a husbandry demonstration that needs to be completed. The instructions for those are in detail on the exam itself. So we need leaders to do that practical piece of the exam with the member and then have them complete the written portion and then send it all in together. So when we receive the written portion, we'll send back a total score. We'll combine the scores that you provided us from the practical portion with the written score, because we'll need to let you know if they passed. So that's why there's not a split score on that piece. But good point that when you send in the written portion of the husbandry exam, the practical score needs to come with it too. We can't finalize that husbandry exam without that practical portion. And Regan asks, what if a member doesn't receive a project or a program pin until grade 11? Can those credits be used for grade 12? I think it's a good idea always to get it, Regan, because I think that it also helps certainly for scholarship applications. If they've earned it, then I think it's still worthwhile having it added to their transcript, even though maybe they may or may not need the credit for graduation. The credits can kind of serve a couple of purposes for kids, like 3 purposes, I would say. One is it is helpful for at least provincial scholarships. That's something that is looked at, whether the members earn their credits. And then in terms of actually helping them with their school graduation, it can help them achieve graduation if they're needing credits, if they're short on credits, or for some kids, and I've heard this particularly from members that live in smaller towns and they go to schools without maybe as many options, these credits go into the transcript like an elective. And so if you have students that are really keen on taking more options, this gives them an option in their schedule, or maybe, for example, they could take another academic subject or something like that because they have an elective covered.
Right. Could I just kind of clarify what I was meaning? I think the ideal is that the members join when they're younger and then they build this portfolio of scores and credits, etc. And they use their first 4 for their grade 11 and then the second 4 for their grade 12. But what if they don't, they've already passed grade 11 and they're now in grade 12 and they're just getting, say, their project pin in grade 12. Can they use that just for grade 12 credits?
No. So the requirements for the credits are the same regardless of what grade they're in. So to earn the grade 12 credits, they would need to earn the honor pin regardless. And to earn the honor pin, they have to earn, like, you can't get the grade 12 credits without also meeting the criteria of the grade 11 credits first.
Okay, so they both have to happen. The 11 has to happen and then the 12 has to happen.
Well, except for if you do a project pin plus one of those senior projects that you could maybe do it within the year. So if they're the beginning of their grade 12 and they do their project pin as well as a senior self-determined or a senior management, those are the options where they don't.
But they still do need a project pin,
yeah,
which is what equals grade 11.
Still need the 2.
Yeah.
So there's
Okay.
Yeah,
So you can't just jump over, I mean, you don't have to
right.
apply for the grade 11 credits,
Yeah.
but you will have to have a project pin, which is grade 11 credit criteria.
Mhm.
Okay. Just the reason I asked was we had a member that joined, or they had been a member years ago and then came back, and they were in grade 12 and they were looking to
Yeah.
gather these things for credits, and I wasn't quite sure how to respond to that. So
Yeah,
that's
I'd
why I
encourage them
was.
to just go for it still, absolutely, and they can
Oh,
retroactively
yes,
do
for
it.
sure. But I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if they could actually get credits for it at the grade 12 level. So, okay, good.
Mm.
Thank you.
Great. Elaine's asking when would be the cutoff to complete this, 11 or 12, June 30th. I think that'll depend, Elaine, on your high school counselor. So I would probably check in with them when they need to get their marks in. I think each district is probably a little bit different in that respect, but yeah, definitely in June. We tend to get a lot of exams in May, I'll tell you that. So get ahead of the rush if you can.
Awesome. Thanks for rapid fire answering all those questions, Sarah. That's actually a really good segue into how we apply for these external credits. So keep the questions coming in if once they're coming to your head, and we'll have more time to address them after. So now that Rosebud has all of her 4-H work done, what does she actually do to get her credit? So we're going to walk you through what she can do. So once members have completed the requirements for either the 4-H external grade 11 credits or the 4-H external grade 12 credits, they can request the certificate necessary to present to their school through their district 4-H awards coordinators as follows. So Rosebud would present the 4-H senior skill or other certificates that verify her completion of the credit requirements to her district 4-H awards coordinator. Then the awards coordinator would make sure that that awards card is all filled out and that they have all that information necessary to prove that she's gotten those marks for the credit. The next is the 4-H awards coordinator will send a copy of the member's award card with the necessary credit requirements on it, already verified, along with an external credits request form, which we're going to go into in the next slide. So this is available from the 4-H BC Leader Secured page, and they will send that information to me via this email right here. So this is the external credits request form. I've just filled it in to give you an example of what it can look like. So with Rosebud, we had both 11 and grade 12 certification that we were requesting. So I checked those two boxes. I put the name, the club. I checked off program pin and honor club pin certification because those are both the ones. Even though she did meet the requirements for that project pin, we're just requesting the program and the honor pin certification because those are the grade 11 and the grade 12 credits. We have the name and the address. This is really, this is necessary because I will be mailing the certification to that address. Then the marks here, I will be looking at the awards card, but it's nice just to reference quickly which marks we're looking at that contribute to both of these certifications. And then also the information and the address of the awards coordinator, because I will be sending a copy of the certification to them as well. So this is again available in the awards coordinator toolkit. And then you will email it to me along with the awards card.
Yeah, so Tracy just asked a question in the chat about the publication number. So Tracy, it's not a formal publication, but there's a toolkit. I know you're new to the role, but if you just use your regular login for the leader secured pages, you'll notice their awards coordinator toolkit, and that document is right in there. And I think it's important to note here that these credit requests are to be submitted by awards coordinators. They're not to come from the members, the parents, or the leaders. So this work has to go through the district awards coordinator.
Mm-hmm. And if you're a parent or a leader and you have a question, go to your awards coordinator. But please don't hesitate to reach out to us too if you have further questions. Okay, and so the next step after you've sent that to me, the awards coordinator sent that to me, is I will issue the official certificate with one of the 3 titles. So either the project PIN certification, program PIN certification, or honor PIN certification. And this will include the student's name, program requirements, mark, and a signature and date. After that, well, I'll just mention there too that it does take a few weeks to process these certifications and get them out in the mail to you. So just keep that in mind with your planning as well. And then number 4, 4-H, the 4-H member will receive the 4-H program PIN certification or whatever certification they applied for directly to their home address. So that's why that address is necessary. And as well, the awards coordinator will receive a copy, as I mentioned. Lastly, the 4-H member will take the certificate to their school counselor to receive the course credit. So that's up to them to bring it to their school counselor. If the school counselor has any questions or needs confirmation about anything, I've had them reach out to me in the past and I've been able to help them out in that regard. So now I just want to show you a couple examples of what to expect for the credit certificates when they come in the mail. So this is the program PIN certification. You can see that all of the program PIN certificates, the senior skills certificates with the mark are included here, as well as the program that Rose attended, Youth Action. And if you notice here, it says TS, that stands for transfer standing. No benefit or no pro or con to having that on instead of a mark, but just wanted to let you know that that's what that means if you see that TS. This is an example of Rose's sister Holly. She was did her project pin for Rabbit. So this is an example of what a project pin would look like. Same thing, it has the different senior skills with the marks here. And then lastly, here's an honor PIN certificate. So you can see that it has an average of what Rose got in all of her 4 project senior skills. And then it has TS for her program certification because she attended that provincial program. Okay, so I'm just gonna go over a few quick tips to kind of summarize some highlights of what we went over tonight. So the first is to remind your members to keep their member passport up to date. So we talked about that at the beginning. Really great document to help keep them organized throughout the 4-H career. The second is to make sure that you keep track of your members' marks and achievements in your leader record and forward the relevant scores to your district awards coordinator to be added to their official awards card. So this is important to keep up to date with all those awards throughout the year so that you can help your members stay on track to earning these external credits.
Yeah, and I'm just going to share with that, Alana, it's really important for all the leaders in the group to, if you're the leader that's responsible for these marks in your club, ask at the district council meeting sort of what's the process for that. Some districts have sort of a shared spreadsheet where people can input marks. There are pages there's a leader sort of record book publication that has some pages that can be used for awards marks, but we know there's a lot of different ways that this can be done for convenience, kind of depending maybe how many clubs are in the district and how spread out they are. So make sure if you're the leader that's responsible for these scores for your club to find out at a district council meeting who needs to receive them in what format and by when. And sometimes the awards coordinator will collect all the scores because there may be other awards that your district offers, like maybe your district has a high aggregate award or something like that. So they may collect all of the scores from all of the activities every year, but other districts who don't have that, they may be looking only for the scores specifically to be added to the awards card. Now, you'll note in the picture that Alana showed of the awards card, there's only one spot there, right, for demonstration. So a member might do a demonstration or a speech or whatever multiple years, but for their sort of official record to go towards the grade 11, 12 credits, only one score is needed. So if you're in a district that doesn't require all of the scores every year, you would need to work with your awards coordinator to figure out what scores are able to be added to the member's card this year. So if they already had their public speaking last year, they did a really great job last year and they got over 75%, and then they did it again this year, we don't necessarily need to add that to their card because they've already earned that senior skills certificate. So there is a little bit of variation there depending on maybe what additional awards are offered, again, locally. So make sure you ask questions and know when and how and what to submit.
Great. Thanks, Sarah. And then the last quick tip on this page is to remember that project certification is a must-have to qualify for honor certification. So making sure that if you know your members are working towards these credits, that making sure that they have that project certification in the works is really important.
There's
Some
a
more quick
question. There's a question from Charlene in the chat. Should I answer, or do you want to finish with your quick tips?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so Charlene's asking, when a member wants to get their senior skill for showmanship, judging, husbandry, marketing for their project pin, do they need to let the leaders know? Yes, Charlene, the leader will need to be involved with those, some of them more than others, and depending on the award criteria. So for example, I'm going to work backwards through your list. Marketing is a purely written exam. So the leader would need to get the exam and give it to the member, collect the exam and submit it. Husbandry is that exam that we talked about. That's 50% practical, 50% written. So the leader would need to make sure the husbandry check was done, have the score ready. This is again, all written in publication number 128, as well as on the first page of the exam. And then they would need to set up a time for the member to do their practical demonstration of skills. And that will vary from project to project. But in like a sheep project, Charlene, it would be like trimming hooves maybe, and like ear tagging and some other options. And the member would have to choose and demonstrate a number of those skills. They did not then also have to write the written portion and have that sent in. Judging and showmanship, on the other hand, are totally just scores from the activities as you know them. So judging, they need one oral judging score, and one written judging score on their project area. And so it would just be a matter of if the leader knew that the member was working towards that, making sure that hopefully they had an opportunity to do an oral judging class and a written judging class on their specific project. And showmanship can be a funny one. There is a showmanship scorecard, but in many cases, it's not always practical for the judge to fill that out if there's a lot of kids in the class. But if a member is working towards earning their showmanship senior skills certificate, what we typically recommend, if possible, at Achievement Day, see if the Achievement Day judge can fill out the showmanship scorecard for the members that are working to try to earn that certificate. Or if you have a really big club and that's just not an option, the judge should at least be aware of that those members are working towards that, have an understanding of what the criteria is on the scorecard, and then issue the score to the leader. Even if they don't completely fill out the scorecard, they need to issue an actual score to the leader so that they can get that showmanship certificate. Does that answer your question? You're on mute there, Charlene.
Yeah, no, sorry. It just takes me a while to hit that button.
Yeah.
No, it does answer the question. I know our leader had said a lot of times the husbandry, like I guess at least half of that certificate would be so simple for basically any age of the senior kids to accomplish if they're already doing the project, because they all know how to hoof trim and do and look after their animals. But that's the point. It's like you have to put it out there that, hey, this is what we're hoping to achieve. So it's kind of like, because you have to let them know so that the leader can get the paperwork and the exams and they're there. And like you said, to give them an opportunity to do an oral judging. Well, when are you going to do that? Do you just make it up? Like, hey, can you come to my farm and I'll do an oral judging for you? Like, is that what, or would it be something more like the club is made up of many different people that, I don't know.
Yeah. So if there's not an opportunity, like if there's a lot of projects and oral judging on the class that the member needs isn't typically offered, just giving the leader a heads up, like hoping to get the credits, hoping to get the judging certificate. Lots of times what they'll do at a club or a district rally is on an animal class, or it could be on any class really, just bring 5 items instead of 4. So if it was a sheep class, you could do 5 sheep. They judge 4 written, and then they can swap out one of the sheep and then use that class as an oral class. So that's a relatively easy way to offer a second class of sheep at the same event. And again, as I mentioned earlier, it's not required that it even be at the same event. So if there was other events in your area, for example, I know you're in the Lower Mainland, so at the PNE judging, if there's an opportunity to judge that class there, the scores from that event could also be used. It can be from any judging event.
Okay, thank you.
And Margaret's asking, showmanship card has a part A that should be completed before the actual class. Does that have to be included in the final score? So as I said, Margaret, sometimes it's not practical or possible in a large club to have the showmanship card filled out. If the judge is able to use and fill out the showmanship card, that's great. But if not, they should at least be aware of what's on there and then ask to issue a score at the end, even if they don't completely fill it out.
Great. Thanks for clarifying that. I will continue on with, we have 3 more quick tips to end off our webinar tonight. So first, we talked about it already, but requests for external credits must come from the awards coordinator. And again, I am here for any questions. So if you have anything that comes up, I'm happy to help. And then leaders should encourage members to set goals in earning their external credit. So if leaders can review the member's award card before enrollment, then they can help their member be aware of all of these opportunities and provide some direction to them towards achieving these goals and earning the external credit. And then lastly, is to ensure that you have a copy of the most recent publication. So again, here are the resources that we talked about tonight as some of the most important ones for external credit. So there's the member passport, the member awards card, the opportunities guide, which was in the chat, but will be updated on the website soon. Which this includes the external credit flowchart on page 48. And then lastly, there's the external credit request form, which is in the Leader Secured page in the awards coordinator toolkit. So make sure to download these after the webinar or keep them in mind for referring to later on. For more information, you can phone or email me at this address, and as well, this is Sarah's address if you have any further questions or clarifications that you need after this webinar. Just want to give a shout out to all of we have a host of awesome webinars coming up all the way through to April. So this is the 4HPC website, and Jordan at the 4HPC office created this whole tab for webinars so you can easily access them. If you click that with a list of all the webinars. Sarah has one on Thursday on provincial programs. And I just wanted to put a call out here. I have one in February. It's bringing fun and engagement into your teaching. And so I'm looking for some leaders to join, or even junior leaders to join, to share some of their successful fun activities. So give me a shout at my email or go to the website, and my email's there for you to let me know if you want to come and share a story or two of some great activities that you've done.
So Margaret had a question
yeah.
about webinars in the chat. Margaret asked where the webinars are kept, the recordings, and how long. So they're loaded, Margaret, to the 4HBC YouTube channel. So if you go to the 4HBC website and click in the icons for social media, the YouTube icon, there's a whole bunch of great content there. And so, for example, we've had a webinar before on grade 11 and 12 credits, but this one has some updated information. So we'll be deleting that one now and uploading this one, and it'll be there, until it's no longer current. And you're welcome to send the link out to other people. It's publicly accessible as well. If you think, hey, other leaders in my area really need to know about this, or it'd be really awesome for all the parents in our club to know what the opportunity is, they're welcome to watch this recording as well.
Yeah, Great, thanks, Sarah. And Margaret, too, I'll send an email out to this group of people who registered for the webinar, and just with that link once it's ready and up on the YouTube site. Lastly, I have this MailChimp survey. So this is an evaluation survey of this webinar. So if you can take, it will just take a minute or two. If you can fill that out, it's really helpful for us to keep our webinars improving and make sure that they're useful for you. So that'd be great. Awesome. I think that's all. If you have any other questions, Sarah and I will stick around for a few more minutes, and we'll be here to answer any questions.
Thanks, everybody.